Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the only channel on the internet that'll teach you all of Isaac Newton's law on gravity to convince you that Sonic is gay, but will also say Sans is Ness. Hello everyone, my name is Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Today we're doing a new book called Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear Price number 4. Step closer. So, we're gonna step closer into this book. I want this. Okay, so basically, we're gonna read this. I have no memory of reading this one, although I did have memory of reading the other one. And yeah, so let's continue. All right, let's begin. I also heard the intro of my old book. Reading. I even found the old Google Slides I used. Because I use Google Slides to do my things. Like a peasant. No, but in all seriousness, that was very cool to see. Again, I went, wow, I was an idiot when I was a kid. And now I look at myself now and I go, wow, I'm an idiot as more of an adult. Would I be considered an adult? I don't know. I just need to get my chair positioned. And I need to get this chair moved out. If you're wondering what day this was recorded on day 10 of the Genshin Impact. Today I might do fishing, today I might do not. It's already a thing on my Twitch VODs. Twitch VOD day number 4. The day this is posted will be Twitch VOD day number fucking who cares. Alright. Let's start. Foxy's yellow eyes glowed in the darkness of the room. His jaw hung open, flashing sharp teeth. Foxy lifted his hook and slashed his sharp tip at the front of Pete's face, the hook whizzing by his nose. Pete rolled off the bed, his body shaking, his stomach pitched as he lay helpless on the floor as Foxy the pivoted, looming over him. The shifting of gears filled the room as Foxy sprung up with his hook. "You can't be a pirate, but first you'll have to lose an eye and an arm." "No," Pete breathed. Then Foxy slammed his hook down into Pete's eye. An audible pop sounded. Blood poured from his eye socket as Pete screamed. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was crowded with crazy little kids and their harassed idiot parents. Music bellowed through the wall speakers and arcade games pinged and vibrated. The scent of burnt pepperoni wafted through the air, mixed with the scent of cotton candy. Pete was slashed against the wall, ankles crossed and ball cap turned backward, drinking a cherry-flavored cola while chewing watermelon gum. His little brother and his friends were crowded around an arcade game. Pete didn't want to be there, but his mother had to work and Chuck had to be with his friends after school again, so that left Pete to play babysitter for the 100th time. He asked himself, why was it always his job? And was the little snot grateful? Nope. Chuck was always whining about his inhaler. Always whining he was hungry. Always asking a bunch of questions. Always something. Since their dad had left, Pete was saddled with everything Chuck. His mom's words were stuck in his head. "You're a man of the house now, Pete. Take care of your little brother." How was Pete supposed to be the man when he was just 16? Did anyone ask him what he thought of his new responsibility? Double nope. Pete watched the little kid walk up to the couple of employees cleaning up birthday tables. He pulled on the guy's sleeve. The man looked down at the kid and smiled. "Can I help you with something?" he asked. I was wondering, where's Foxy the pirate?" the kid said. The man's voice was syrupy sweet. "Oh, Foxy's on vacation at the moment. We hope to have him back soon." The little kid stuck his lip out, but nodded as he walked away. The other employee chuckled. "Good one," he told the man. "Oh yeah, on vacation in the maintenance room. Don't know when it'll bring the show out again." Pete was thinking that over when he realized something saying his name. Pete? Pulled his attention to the conversation and moved his gaze toward Marina Rodriguez, who was standing beside him. Her black hair was brushed her shoulders and her lips were glossy red. She had these bright green eyes with long lashes and a few freckles on her nose. She was a cheerleader in the high school and she'd known her since the 6th grade. So why did he suddenly feel so nervous around her? "Hey, Maria," he said. "Stuck here with little Chucky, huh?" He scowled. "Yeah. Same here. My little sister's birthday." Marina motioned to the birthday table in the front of the stage with the little kids wearing cone hats and eating cake. "Can't believe we used to be like them." He smirked. "Don't know about you, but I was never like that." Maria smiled. "So, where you been?" "Sure. So where you been? Haven't seen you at practice lately." He'd been benched from football for unnecessary roughness and having a bad attitude on multiple occasions. Hello, this was football. So he just quit altogether. The truth was, Pete never used to quit anything. He used to finish whatever he started, but after seeing his parents quit each other, finishing things didn't matter so much anymore. Plus, he didn't need any more grief from the coach. He got enough of that from his teachers and his mom. Kid could only handle so much gripping. He shrugged. "Got tired of it all, you know?" "Yeah, I guess. So, what are you going to do with all your free time now?" "Well," someone waved at Maria in the party table. Her face lit up. "Yes, finally, time to leave." Before she left, she added, "Hey, a bunch of us are meeting under the old Beacon Bridge if you want to come to hang out later." Pete smiled. "Yeah," she nodded. "It'll be fun." Then he shook his head. "Can't. I have to watch Chuck at the jump." "Oh, okay, maybe next time. See you around school." Irritation watched over Pete as she watched Maria walk away. This was all Chuck's fault, little brat. Everything was always about his little brother. Didn't matter what Pete wanted because nothing mattered when it came to Pete. Dad had left, Mom was in her own little world. They figured they'd just put Pete in charge of Chuck because they didn't have the time to deal with it themselves. But Pete had never signed up to take over the responsibilities. He was a kid, and kids should be free, not worrying about stuff. They should be able to do what they wanted, like hanging out with other kids instead of watching little brothers, but his parents didn't care about any of that. Obviously, after all, they never passed Pete if he had wanted them to split up in the first place. They just divorced, and that was that. None of it was fair. Pete had so many emotions inside of him that sometimes he was just didn't know how to deal with them. Sometimes he felt like a ticking time bomb about to explode, like the tension in his body was under his skin, begging for release. For a while, football had helped, but it had been a beast on the field, taking down flares, throwing people out of the way. By the end of practice, he'd been exhausted and empty. Empty was better. It was good. But since he was off the team, Pete was stuck with an outlet. He hated these feelings. He hated everything sometimes. He watched his brother break off from his friends and head to the bathroom, and his eyes narrowed in a fresh opportunity. Pete tossed the soda at an empty table and walked quickly to his brother's side, latching onto his arm forcefully. Chuck's face skewed up. "Ow, Pete! Shut up and walk," he muttered, then blew a bubble till it popped. "Why, where are we going?" "You'll see." With a quick look on the shoulder, Pete hustled his little brother down the long and darkened corridor. The floor was faded and old. The peeling posters of the animatronic lined the walls. The place needed serious upgrade. Pete had wandered down here before to discover a large maintenance room. Now that he knew what he was taking a vacation inside, he couldn't wait to take Chuck along for a little adventure. Considering his brother had always been scared of a certain animatronic, Chuck was starting to protest. "Where are we going? What's the matter? You scared?" "No, I just want to stay with my friends. We're going to check something out." Chuck hiccuped and licked his dry lips around the braces. He sounded like a toad when he was nervous. "Just leave me alone, or I'm telling Mom. You're such a little snitch." "Now you're really going in." Pete dragged his surprisingly strong little brother through the entrance of the maintenance room. He met Foxy the pirate. Heavy doors slammed behind them, engulfing them in darkness. "Pete, let me go. Quiet. Someone might hear you. I don't want to listen to you whining like a baby." "Do you know how annoying that is?" Pete wouldn't let loose of the vice grip he had on his brother. No, it was time to teach Chuck a lesson. It was time for Pete to do what he wanted to do right now. It meant giving his brother a good scare. Little Chuck the chump might even pee his pants. Pete chuckled at the idea. With one hand still firmly on his brother's arm, he fished the phone out of his pocket and turned the light to guide them slowly through the darkness. The area was strangely quiet, as if it wasn't connected to a boatload of people just down the hallway. The smell here was stagnant and musty, and the air seemed lifeless, as if no one had set foot in this place recently, which was weird when the rest of the building was full of activity. Hiccup. Pete's foot knocked a bottle across the floor. It hit something and shattered. Pete and Chuck froze, wondering if someone would hear, but no one seemed to be around. Hiccup. Pete scanned the floor with a light, revealing scuffed black and white checkered tiles, dusty tables, and a few broken chairs that were scattered in the large room. There were cardboard boxes on the tables, half empty, with party hats and plates scattered all around them. His light flashed on a big black spider sitting on the edge of one box. "Oh, look at that sucker. It's huge," Pete said. The spider jumped away and the boys leaped back. "I hate spiders. Let's get out of here," Chuck whined again. "Not yet. There's so much more to explore. Think of it as one of those adventure games you like to play. We have to find a secret treasure," Pete said, laughing under his breath. More like he had to scare the crap out of his brother a little more. He flashed the light back down to the floor. He stopped on what looked like a dark, melted candles and a strange black marking. "What is that? Are those symbols?" Chuck wanted to know. "Who cares?" Pete continued to wave the lights around. Then he saw a small stage and a closed purple curtain, and a grin split in his mouth. Pinned to the curtain was a crooked sign of the words "out of service." "This door hopefully still works." Hiccup. "Pete, we shouldn't be here. We could get in trouble. Like big trouble. Like trespassing, you know? That's against the law." "That's against the law." Pete mimicked him with a tiny voice. "You're such a nerd, you know that? What are you going to be when you grow up, Chuck? A cop? I'll be sure to buy you a donut on the way home." Pete shined the light next to the stage, revealing a rusted control box on the side table. The cover was broken off the box. "This is going to be so good." He dragged his brother to the foot of the stage. "Enjoy the show, little brother." "Stop it, Pete." He grabbed Chuck by the shirt and pants, giving him a good wedge as he launched him onto the low stage. Chuck crashed onto the platform with an ugh, and Pete rushed to the control box. He slammed a palm on a button that said "Start." Again, a low hum sounded, followed by a muffled click, click, clank. "Oh, come on," Pete yelled, and then nothing happened. Finally, a small curtain began to open. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. In a quick motion, Chuck rolled to the side. "Chuck, you wimp." Pete rushed to the stage, grabbing Chuck by his sneakers to keep him there. In a quick moves only fear can bring on, Chuck managed to evade his brother. He climbed to his feet, jumped off the platform, and ran. It was the fastest Pete had ever seen his brother run. If he hadn't been running from Pete, he might even be impressed. Pete moved to get him back, then came to a halt in front of the stage, and his shirt caught on something. "Dang," he muttered. He tugged his tail on his shirt, but it was got on a stupid nail. Choppy music sounded through the air of the curtains, open fully. Pete stood frozen in front of a fractured Foxy animatronic. It was glaring down at him. The yellow eyes glowed under red brows, and the eye patch flipped up over his right eye. A jaw with sharp, pointy teeth hung loosely as the big fox began to sing disjointed song about becoming a pirate. One arm had a hook for a hand, and the other hand was stripped of fur, showing his robotic skeleton. Straight sounds of whirling gears screeching seemed to echo in the quiet of the room. The robot's chest appeared ripped open, exposing more of the mechanical body. Foxy moved slowly, eerily. Even though Pete knew he was a robot, his notorious body looked to be half eaten away by who knew what. A shiver scared down Pete's spine. He swallowed his gum. He couldn't move his gaze away from Foxy's yellow eyes as he sang. "Don't know why, it's just a dumb old robot. You can be a pirate, but first you have to lose in an iron yard. First you have to lose an eye in an arm yard. First you'll have to lose an eye in an arm yard. First you have to lose an eye in an arm yard." The old man tried to start the same music. "First you have to lose an eye in an arm yard." Pete blinked as the strange feeling came over him like an invisible cold, heavy blanket was covering every inch of his of his body, then sinking through his skin into his bones. "First you have to lose an eye in an arm yard." The gloom grew until a sudden silence, yet Pete remained standing there in the dark, unmoving. He blinked and looked around, trying to remember where he was. He was in the dark, alone. His pulse scrambled as he stepped back. Then he saw his shirt was caught on a nail. And it all came back to him. He rubbed at his eyes, yanked at his shirt and the nail, then started away from the stage to find his brother. "Dang it, Chuck." Pete watched Chuck suck in a puff in his inhaler before he sat down at the dinner table. He could tell his brother's nerves was still shot from when Pete took him to see Foxy the pirate. Chuck eyed Pete across the table and squirmed. Pete didn't know what he was so upset about. The little brat didn't even get to see the best part of the show. He ran away and stuck closely to his friends until the time to come home. "How's Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, boy?" their mom asked, like fine plates of ham and potatoes in front of them. "Fine," Chuck said, without looking up from his plate. "Yeah, just dandy," Pete muttered, swallowing mashed potatoes. "What? Did something happen?" "No, nothing," the brothers said together. Pete gave Chuck a warning look. "Better not tell." Mom raised her eyebrow and sat down. "Okay, well, I have something exciting to share with you both. I thought it was time to do something as a family and something that was good for the world." Pete big back words that would lightly hurt his mom's feeling. "What family?" It had been nearly 6 months since Dad had left and broken up with their family, and when had he become a do-gooder. "Something new, something that represents a fresh start for the three of us as a family unit. Something that could give someone else a fresh start, too. He pulled out a paper and a folder, turned it toward them. Pete read for the bold loaders and decent breathe. Organ donors? Mom nodded in excitement. Yes, we'll be family donors. Doesn't that sound great? Chuck's gaze met Pete's in astonishment. This is your exciting news? You really want us to give up our body parts? Pete asked her. She waved her hand at Pete. Only if something happens to us, silly. Which obviously we don't want, but if it did, we could actually help other people who are sick and in need of a new heart or a kidney. We could save someone's life. We'd be heroes. We'd be dead heroes, Chuck said. She laughed. Oh, Chuckles, you make me laugh. Yeah, Chuckles, you're a riot, Pete said, deadpan. Chuck scrunched up his face. Hey, Mom, you know what Pete did at the pizza place? Pete narrowed his eyes at Chuck. He knew the little brat couldn't keep his mouth shut. What did he do? He drank way too much soda, Chuck smiled, flashing his railroad tracks. Mom sighed. Pete, come on. I told you what all said soda does to you, thief. Pete just looked back at his mom. He was with her lately. Last month she started to see someone who called herself a light coach, and then his mom had started yoga, chopping her long hair off and gone on some weird juice cleanse. She also gathered a bunch of their stuff, giving it away to charity. Now she wants to donate their body parts. Here, read the flyer, Pete, Mom said. It'll convince you for sure. Pete grabbed the paper his mom shoved under his nose. The list of organ donations was pretty long. Bones, heart, kidney, liver, pancreas, skin, intestine, eyeballs. You could be a pirate, you first have to lose an eye and an arm, yarg. Pete flashed back at Foxy. Imagine Foxy suddenly walking off stage, stalking toward him in his big, sharp hook, his mechanical feet scraping across the floor. Pete's mashed potatoes did a slow roll in his stomach, and suddenly felt lightheaded. He blinked and the image away. What a dumb idea, Mom. Pete, it's not dumb. It hurts my feelings that you think that. Yeah, Mom, it was into expressing her feelings lately, too. He shoved the chair away from the table and stood up, and his face flashed cold, then hot. I'm not doing it, Mom. Pete, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to bed. Pete walked out of the dining room. What's happening? What happened? He heard his mom ask. Chuck sighed. Puberty. Hurry up, Pete. The next morning, Chuck banged on the bathroom door. If Pete didn't get out soon, Chuck would be late for the bus to W.H. Jameson Middle School. If he missed the bus, then he'd have to ride his bike 5 miles to school, and his mom would freak out over his going alone. She was paranoid something would happen if Pete wasn't with him, which he didn't understand since he was almost 12. Well, 11 and a half. Lots of his friends were left by themselves all the time, but not Chuck. Pete always said it was because Chuck was a baby and their mom couldn't stop thinking of him that way. He heard Pete heave into the toilet, and Chuck stepped back and cringed. Pete was sick, he figured. Chuck's lips curled a little. Was that what he deserved for trying to scare me? Yesterday. Then he let that thought go as Pete heaved again, stepping back and leaning against the wall to wait. Chuck knew Dad's leaving had changed everyone. Pete was angry all the time. Mom had kept searching for new things to make her happy. All for himself. He tried to keep busy. He tried to hang out with his friends. He liked to play online video games, and he was pretty interested in puzzles. Yeah, middle school sucked, but it was going to school was just part of life that you had to get through. Every once in a while, he felt challenged by a project, but he'd complete it and then get bored again until something else caught his interest. That he just got why Pete hated him half the time, because Mom made Pete watch over him so much. He tried not to be annoying, but every time that came out of his mouth seemed to annoy Pete. Maybe it was just like it was with all brothers. Chuck didn't know because he didn't have another brother to compare to. The toilet flushed. A minute later, Pete swung open the door. A wave of serious stink wafted his Chuck, and he waved a hand in front of his nose. Pete didn't look so good. His face was pale, with freckles stood out like tiny bugs on his cheeks. His dark hair stuck up in different directions, like he jammed his finger in a socket and shocked himself, and there was dark circles under his eyes. Geez, Pete, what's the matter with you? Nothing, Pete spat out. Something didn't agree with me. Probably something at the stupid Freddy Fazbear's pizza. Chuck didn't think so. Do you want me to call Mom? Pete shoved him aside. No, I'm not a little baby like you, Chuck the chump. Chuck felt his shoulder stiffen. He hated the stupid nickname. Whatever, he mumbled. He slammed and locked the bathroom door behind him. Pete chugged an energy drink with triple caffeine while running to his bio class, but he still felt drained and exhausted. He had some pretty crazy dreams last night. He couldn't remember much, only that they'd all been in all this blood. It was everywhere, pouring all over him, down his face and over the chest and arms. When he jerked awake, his blankets were tangled around his body. He'd fallen on the floor trying to unwind the blankets so he would just rush to the bathroom to blow chunks. He shivered just thinking about it, but he rolled his shoulders and shoved that not-so-fun memory away. He probably would have stayed home, but calling his mom at work would have freaked her out and she'd be asking a million questions. He decided to just get through the day somehow. She loped into his classroom 5 minutes after the bell. "Mr. Dinglewood, you are late," droned Mr. Watson in a bored voice. "Note?" Pete snatched off his hat and shook his head to negative. He took an empty stool and a workstation in the far back, next to a kid with black leather jacket and purple hair. Pete zipped his hat into his pack and sat on the floor, then wiped some sweat off his forehead. He shifted awkwardly on the stool. Why couldn't he seem to keep still? As I was saying, class, we will be dissecting a frog today, and Mr. Watson, you will have been quizzed on the safety rules for the tools and procedure. You will work as a team with your partner to fill out the lab sheet. I expect you all to be mature young people. I know that will be hard for some of you, but there's no funny business here or you will fail. You do not want to fail. You have 30 minutes, starting now. They both turned and toward the dead frog sprawled out in front of them. Leather jacket guy leaned forward. "Dude, what's the matter with you?" Pete shook his head. "Nothing." Leather jacket guy gave him a "yeah, right" look and then picked up a small scalpel. 10 minutes in, Pete yawned. His mouth was dry and his hand was starting to shake from the precise cutting. The leather guy jacket smirked. "Hey, check this out," he said. He poked the frog in the eye with the scalpel, a weird liquid gushing out. "Sick, right?" Then he shoved the blade into the frog's arm and sliced it off. He picked up the tiny hand and waved it at Pete. Pete shook his head. "I need a break." "Look, I'm sorry. I swear I'll stop messing around." He held out a little frog at him. "Here, let's shake on it." The kid chuckled as Pete pushed off the stool and headed for the classroom water fountain. He took a long couple of drinks. Dang, he was thirsty. He was starving. His stomach decided to growl then. Then he skipped breakfast, trying to make it to school on time. He was heading back to the workstation when Mr. Watson stopped him. "Everything going well, Mr. Dinglewood?" he asked. Mr. Watson was shorter than him, with white hair and white mustache. Glasses hung on the tip of his red nose, as if somehow he was looking down on Pete, even though he was physically impossible. "Yep, things are fine," Pete blurted. Mr. Watson frowned. "Glad to hear it. Now please return to your dissection lab. You of all people cannot afford to fail." "That's what I'm doing," Pete muttered, whirling around. It all went downhill from there. Pete took a quick, long stride with his foot landed on the back strap against the landing securely on the floor. That was when he slipped, losing his footing. Falling backward, he fell on a toe connected to the leather jacket guy in a brutal way. The kid yelped. Mr. Watson shouted something in reply. Pete landed on his back. His breath knocked him out of him. He blinked, and then opened his eyes, spotted the kid's scalpel in the air. A small knife must have flown up in impact. And then, in disbelief, Pete saw the scalpel lose gravity and then fall towards his face, the point of the tiny blade coming straight for his eye. Adrenaline squirted through the body and the quack reflexes that came from years of playing football. Pete swatted the tool away with the deadly insect as his blade came to blind him. The scalpel had hit stand working station and fell to the floor. "Holy," leather jacket hissed. "Dear Lord, Peter, are you all right?" It said Mr. Watson, hovering over the frightened parent. "Don't move. I'll call the nurse. Class, stay seated. Nobody move. Emergency procedure, please. Out of the way." The class ignored Mr. Watson and crowded around Pete as his chest rose up and down with heavy breaths. He didn't think he'd hit his head, but felt dizzy kind of out of it. Not to mention mortified. Someone whispered, "Way to go, Dingleberry." A couple kids giggled. "Yeah, what a loser. Now we know why he was kicked off the football team." Pete slightly sat up, his face flushed red. Dang, there was no doubt he should have stayed home. Somehow, Pete managed to get through the rest of the school day. The nurse had checked him and given him an ice pack and sent him on his way. He was relieved when the final bell rang and he walked quickly around slow-moving kids through the doors and down the school's front steps. And then he checked his phone and he saw he had a new text from his mother. He rubbed a hand over his face. Well, that was definitely an interesting read. And I'm on time, too. Actually, I have a few minutes. To give my lesson in Shishkadab. So, you guys might have seen this in the last video, or, the last long video, that I didn't do any of this. That's because I want those videos to be just reading. And then these videos, you guys can skip to the end, the last 5 minutes, and just hear my lessons. I was going to do a video of just lessons, but that's kind of a waste of content. It'd be too much work for those few people. So basically, here's what I'm here to tell you. So, here's my lesson for the day, sorry. if you're ever in a situation where you have a little brother, like, let's give me an example. I don't have a little sibling, but pretend I have a little little brother, okay? Let's name him Shinglesmare or something. No, let's name him Jerry. Jerry's my little brother. Mom's like, you gotta watch Jerry. Okay, I'm like, whatever. And if Jerry does it or if Mom makes it to where you watch Jerry too much, like literally it's every single time type of thing. Yes, as a big brother, that is your responsibility, but you should also just maybe talk to them if they're very open about it. You should probably go to them and go, sometimes I want to go with my friends. Do you think we can schedule a time where I can go out with my friends and also not babysit them? Just talk scheduling. Don't immediately go, well, I fucking hate your mom. Don't go like that. Because it's like, if you're mean to them, then you're never going to get respect. You'll never get respect from a parent if you're mean to them. Or mean as in a total jerk to them. You'll only get respect out of your parent if you're kind to them. So, or not kindness, because some parents don't even look at kindness really. Like, me and my father. My father. No, me and my father. Me and my father have a relationship that's basically, we're kind to each other. We're also jerks to each other. That's just kind of our relationship. But if you have an emotional parent or an emotional mom, be kinder to her. If you have a more serious father, be more serious to him. It's not acting or changing how you do your perspective. It's respecting others. Like, when I go up to my one friend, and I go, hey man, how's it hanging, right? Do the handshake, fist bump. And I go to my other friend and say, sup, man? And I just like a lot more kinder, like a handshake or a hug. That's not changing myself for others. That's being respectful and accepting other people's basic grasp on things. Like, I want to be treated this way, then treat them that way. Well, I want to be treated this way, then treat them that way. You're not changing yourself for others. You're changing yourself so then you can be more respectful to others. Now, I know some people in this world are not wanting to be respectful, which, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to be. I mean, good things come to those who are good. So, but if you want to be a jerk, be a jerk. I don't know why you're listening to this then. But what I'm trying to say is, being kind gets you kindness. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and that's a lesson I will take to my heart. If I'm a jerk to my dad, I expect him to be a jerk to me. As soon as I'm nice to him, he's nice to me. You feel what I mean? Exactly. So treat others the way you want to be treated is the lesson I'm going to take with today. And maybe learn some negotiation skills. And not negotiation as in, if I pay you this much, I don't have to hang out with my little brother. I don't have to bring him on jobs with me. No. I mean negotiations as in, so I'll babysit him all of this time if you let me have this day off. And if they say no, that's completely okay. Like, as the child, you are not given the position to make those negotiations. As the teenager, you're not even. As an adult, you're not given that position unless you have an actual working job. So, unless you have a working job, you have no place for negotiation of babysitting a younger sibling. You're just gonna have to take it. Also, be kind to your younger siblings. How you are to your younger siblings is how they will remember you. Granted, I've met a lot of younger siblings, or a lot of younger kids that are younger siblings of my friends who are forever nice to me, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I'll even do like a simple little joke to them to be annoying to them, and they're still really kind to me. Like, I do that as a joke. I don't do that as being mean. I don't like kick some random person's little brother or something. Sorry, I haven't drunken water in this entire time because I'm trying to, do stuff differently. I got to 15 pages today, so I'm proud of myself. Anyways, I gotta start streaming. I have 5 minutes. So have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient, and I'll see you guys next time.